Hey guys, welcome back again. I know, deja vu. Yes, I just posted this video earlier today and I pulled it because some new information came in about those little brass shims that I was referring to earlier. So I did find out from Harry that those two shims, there's only two per engine, so there shouldn't be four, so there's not two missing like I was kind of guessing. The two should be on the back wheel set. So it shouldn't be on one side or the other side of the engine. It should both of them on the back wheel set. So that's where they go. So I just wanted to update that information. So when you switch your wheel sets, which is the main sort of fix for this, then what you're going to do is make sure that those little shims don't fall out or stick to something because they have oil on them, and make sure they both go in the back wheel set. So that's the sort of the update to it. However, on my particular engine, I believe I had an additional issue, which was the front wheel set was completely jammed inside the frame. I could not move it. I actually had to take a screwdriver to pry it out of the frame, which shouldn't be. It should have slid right in and out just like the rear wheel set did. So I had to actually file down the vertical sides of little square bearings to get it to go in. Okay? And make it nice and free floating. So I'm not sure if that's just on my engine or if it's just on the 1970s version and maybe the 2000 versions don't have an issue, or if it's just random on some engines and some don't. It's hard to tell, but all I know is that on mine it was completely jammed, and it's a good possibility that that was probably the biggest issue on my engine, because the axle was probably not horizontal. It was probably jammed or cocked one way or the other. And that definitely can, cause all kinds of issues with derailing. So that's what you're looking for, basically. And if you just follow those basic steps of switching the axles, you can call Lionel. They are aware of the issue, and they are issuing replacement traction tires. I looked up the part number, and they're issuing tires that were from the first generation moguls. So I used the replacement tires that were in the box. So you know how the engine comes with tires on it, and then they give you a little bag of replacement tires. So the ones that were on it I put aside, and I just used the replacements after I moved the wheel sets, and that seems to have resolved everything. So now everything runs perfectly on the layout. So I would say if you first try moving your wheel set, if that's fine and everything works, you're done. If that still is having a problem with the railing, then take the replacement tires that are in the box, swap those out, see if that helps. If that doesn't help, you can call Lionel. They'll send you 4 brand new replacement tires from the original moguls, and supposedly that will fix the issue. I used the Lionel ones that were in the box, and it's running perfectly around the layout, so I'm not sure you really need the replacement ones, but they're sending to anyway, so I'm going to take them. I'll keep them as spares. So, yeah, I think that's it. So I cut down this video a bit to cut out the misinformation and just put in the actual fix that we have today that seems to be working across the board. So when you get your engine, if you have any issues with it, check these things, and if you do these different steps, then you should be able to get your engine up and running again, and it will run perfectly on your fast track switches. So that's it. So let's go ahead and take a look. Guys, so we're going to try another fix here. So we are going to take the front axle here that has the traction tire on it and flop these two around right here, because it apparently seems that they accidentally may have switched the two axles, and this should have been on the rear all along, but it mixed up at the factory, whatever happened, and one of the issues causing the derailing. So what we're going to do is we are going to switch these axles. We're going to put the original traction tires back on. So I'm going to take the set of traction tires they came with the engine, the extra set. Since I've already stretched the other one so badly at this point, I'm going to put a fresh set of the factory Lionel traction tires back on here, flop these over, and then put it all together, and we'll see what happens. So yeah, what we just need to do is start taking this apart. So it comes with the little tool here, obviously, to get the axle bolts out. So should come out pretty easily, hopefully, as long as nothing's been cross-threaded and they're not stripped. If you get unlucky and the factory did something like that, then you're going to be even more trouble than you are now. But okay, and I just take them off one at a time, and I just keep them on the workbench exactly as I took them off, so I can tell which way they go when they go back on. So this comes off here. Okay, so there are a couple things to be careful of right here. There's a bushing in here that you can see, right? So you want to make sure you don't lose that. And then you're going to have to line up the front bolt between the crosshead guide and just move the little drive rod out of the way, and then take off the front one. Okay, and then you gotta take your, I just keep everything in order on the workbench at the top here, that way I can keep track of it. And that's all you have to do for taking off the side rods. So let me take off the other side and then we'll come back. Alright, so we got our side rods off, so now we're gonna have to take, I believe, the pickups off. So I think they're gonna be, well, I don't know. I can't tell if there's a, if this plate would come around them or not, but I'm just going to take them off just because it's going to make it easier. So this pickup here on the back here, there's a notch on the one side, right, hole on the other, so you can't mix them up. However, it does have this little plastic plate on the bottom of it, so make sure that goes back in where it's supposed to. All right, so now on the bottom here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that I'm assuming hold this plate on. So let me get those out and then we'll check it out. Alright, so we got the screws out here. We're going to just take this plate off. And something else fell out here. This is the plastic piece for the front pickup. Alright, so you can see the bottom of our locomotive here basically. We've got the 2 axles and then the drive one in the middle right here. So yeah, so we're going to pull this out here carefully, make sure there's no pieces going to fall off of this. It's got 2 little bearing blocks on it right here, and of course the axle. Take the front one out here. Maybe take the front one out here. It's not coming out. There's actually, it's weird. It looks like it should come out. It's really tough though. It's not just popping out. I don't see anything that should be holding it down. So let me get I'm gonna put a little piece of tape to protect this here, and then we'll just get a tiny screwdriver, see if we can pull this out. Alright, how to get a screwdriver to pop this out. This was super tight in here. I mean really tight. The back basically fell out. The front was like incredibly jammed in here, super tight. So anyway, so let's take the rear ones that we had here. This is the wheels without the traction tire on it, and let's see. The blocks have a little pin on them on the one edge of the square. So I'm assuming that little pin goes into the little dimple that's in the bottom of the frame there. What's funny is also on the back one here, there is a little, looks like brass contact here as opposed to just painted black, so I'm not sure what the difference is there and why that's like that. But you got to line up these bearings on here so that the pin, they're both facing the same direction, down. And then hopefully it'll go in correctly. It's a little tricky. You gotta get the squares in the slots. Okay, we're gonna do the rear one first because the front one here is problematic on mine for some reason. It's just, it doesn't slide in nice and easy. It's really tight. So pins have to face down. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. This is so we got to line up both sides at the same time, and it's a little tricky. Okay, so I think that one's in correctly. All right, so we got the rear one on here. Now we just got to do the front one. So there's obviously there's a slot right here on each one, so the square bushing right has a lip on it, rides in that slot, but on the bottom of the square bushing right there, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it actually has a little pin. So that pin has to face down, so you just got to line them all up. It's a little tricky. Got to get the square in the slot facing down in the right direction for each one, and then slide it down. Front one, that one's good there, and just got to make sure you got it in the right way. It really can only go one way, because if the pin is sticking out the wrong way, it won't slide in. All right, let me come back to this. All right, so I have them in the slots right here. Now, if you look at this side right here, if I rock this, you can see this bearing slides right down in there, no problem. This side is actually a problem. I'm actually having to force it down inside there. So there's something wrong here on this frame. There's something wrong. I don't know what it is. It's too tight. So basically, this can't slide down smooth. I'm not sure if maybe the original problem was the fact that this either was not seated all the way down, or it was sort of cocked or something, because I don't know how I can't even get this back in now. It won't even slide down. So this bearing that was on the front here, I had to pry it out with a screwdriver. I basically had to go with this to get it out. Now I can't even slide this back in anymore. On this side, it won't go in. So now I've got to do some kind of a, I don't know, light. Oh my God, now it's stuck in there. Okay, this is a nightmare. There's something wrong with this slot here on this frame. It's not big enough for some reason to slide this bearing in, which is weird. Okay, so this bearing on this one right here, if I flip the wheel around the other direction, this slides in on this side, no problem. So it's actually, I think, the bearing block that's the issue. Let's see if it fits on this side better over here. Nope, it does not. That's what the issue is. The bearing block, this bearing block here is not, there's something wrong with it. It's too big or something. So it doesn't slide down correctly. There's also, what is this piece? Okay, so there, oh man, this is getting worse. There's also a thing right here. There's a little, I don't know if you can see it right here. It's stuck on the wheel. It's a little brass plate. Looks like it goes on the bottom of the bearing block, maybe like the other one did. Now I don't know which side it actually goes on, if it's the same side or different, but that was not in there. I don't know if it fell out when I was taking it apart here or what happened. And I'm not sure what it's for exactly. It's this little brass plate. This is fun. Alright, so unfortunately the little brass plate that goes in here, when I was trying to put it in here, slipped and it fell inside the engine, and now I can't get to it. So it's somewhere inside here. It's a thin little plate. So now the whole engine has to come apart because this little plate fell inside the engine, and God knows where it's doing or what it's doing in there, right? Could be shorting against the board, electrical. And it's, you know, full of oil, so it's sticking and it's not going to fall out. I tried to shake it already, so now the whole engine has to come apart. Alright, got the engine apart, and I can see the little piece that's down there. The problem is it's, you know, covered in, you know, oil, so it sticks to everything. So it's stuck at the bottom of the frame here. Trying to get it out of here, it's like, not easy because it's a, you know, really thin flat piece and you can't really grab it. Got to sort of hook the hole that's in the middle of it, and everything in the body's in the way, of course, so you can't get to it. But let's see here. Alright, I think I fell out. Okay, here it is. We're not going to put the body back on until we get the wheels back on, so. Now, I don't know which side this was on, so I don't know if it makes a difference, because obviously, even though it's super thin, it is going to raise the height of the one side a little bit, so. Let's see if we can get this back in here. I don't know why this doesn't fit right. This is really tedious trying to get this piece in here. So if you don't have good dexterity or eyesight, this is probably not the job you want to do. There it did, popped out again. Ah. Okay. Alright, that's that part. Now we got to get the wheel set in here. Alright, so this bearing is going to be a problem here on this front wheel set, or what used to be the rear wheel set. So basically, it will not slide in. It's so tight. Like, I had to pry it out to get it out of the body, so there's something wrong with this square bearing on this one side here. It's just a little too thick for some reason. So I'm gonna have to like take just a flat file and maybe just take a little bit off. Then I have to clean all this because I can't have grit inside a bearing and wheel shaft. So let me fix this and come back. We're gonna have to, on the two sides that are vertical, again, you know, the pin's on the bottom, so on the two vertical sides, I'm taking a flat file and I'm just gonna have to go like this up and down until I can get it so that it slides into the slot. It's only the one square bearing that's having the problem. The other three slide in no problem, but this one it's too big. It's not there's something wrong with it, and it's not sliding in correctly. So I got to do this on this side, and then I'll flip it over on the opposite vertical side and do the same thing right here. And then we'll spray this all down to get all the grit off, oil it up again, and then see if it slides in a little better. So you can see it seems to be like there's, I don't know, wasn't formed quite correctly and smooth. It's got like a grit on it or something, so we'll try that and see if that helps at all. Alright, so we sanded that down a little, and now you can see it pretty much slides in and out freely. So, and there's no side-to-side play, so I think that's pretty good. But yeah, there was something off with this one, on this one bearing. So I don't know, maybe if that was the issue to begin with, this axle wasn't seated all the way down or something. I have no idea. But anyway, take this bottom plate now. We're going to just rest it on here. And what we're checking for is that it lays completely flat. There's no gaps. And we're not trying to screw down a gap or anything. So everything seems like it's laying completely flat here. So we're going to put the screws back in here. Alright, just in case anybody's interested, since we do have the shell off, what it looks like. You can see the can motor here, right? It's going this direction. That engages the drive gear on the center blind driver. And then smoke unit and the board and everything. That's pretty much it. So luckily this one's not too bad as far as the wiring goes. Putting it back together, there's really nothing you should have to worry about. It should just fit right on pretty easily, and then you put your screws back on. So just a little hint, if you do have to take the shell off on these, the stairs have to slip underneath the piping here, otherwise you're going to bend it. So when you're putting the chassis back in, you want to sort of slip the front in under and then lay the back down so that you don't damage the piping on the front here. So just a little tip on that. Okay, so I think I'm ready to put the screws back in to hold the body back on. Everything seems like it's flat and flush, so the wiring kind of goes in pretty easily, so I don't think there's any problem with like trying to reroute wiring and everything. So we got everything back on. Everything seems okay. Pickups are back on. Got them all, make sure they're all straight. Pilot's back on, body's back on. So all we gotta do is put the side rods back on. Before we do that though, we're gonna take the MTH traction tires off here. We're gonna put the fresh set of Lionel ones that come in the box back on. And then we'll put the side rods on, and then we'll find out if this works or it doesn't. Alright, so we've got the Lionel traction tires back on and the rear now, and the front. So we'll see. We got everything back together. Hopefully it still runs without any issue, and I didn't pinch a wire or something, but we'll find out. Now I put the original factory traction tires on back on. They're on the rear set still. And we're going to give it a shot and see if it derails at all. So we're going to run it through the same paces we just ran it through. Perfect. Alright guys, so that's it. I think our issue is resolved, and let's do a recap and see what happened here. Alright, now that is it. This is the end, I promise. You're not going to see another video on this no matter what happens. No, so seriously, that's it. If you follow those couple of quick fixes, everything should be fine, and hopefully you don't have a jammed front wheel set like I did. But if you do, you know how to fix it. Just get a little straight file and file this down, and you'll be all set. So finally, we have a Strasburg A9 that runs around the layout, and you know, it doesn't derail on fast track switches. So, all right. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope this will help somebody if they're having the same issue. Then at least you have those couple of things that you know what to do, so you can fix your engine, and then you'll be all set. So. As always, I will see you guys next time. Peace, guys.